This is every job on an offshore oil rig, from the lowest paid position in the kitchen all the way up to the person running the entire platform, and exactly what you need to do to land each one. The offshore oil and gas industry hired aggressively through 2025 and into 2026. The Gulf of Mexico alone pushed 1.9 million barrels per day in 2025, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, and the GETI 2026 report showed that 60% of hiring managers confirmed salary increases, with a third of those rises landing above 5%. A wave of veteran hands is retiring right now, which means the industry needs bodies at every single level. That is your window. I have spent decades working on these platforms, and I can tell you right now, the biggest misconception people have about this industry is that you need connections or a degree to get in. You do not. What you need is the willingness to do hard work, the right certifications, and the sense to keep your head on straight in a dangerous environment. I have watched guys show up as galley hands washing dishes, and 10 years later they are running entire rigs making $250,000 a year. There are different types of rigs you should know about because the type affects your pay. Jack-up rigs operate in shallow water, usually up to 400 feet deep, and their legs extend down to the seafloor to lift the platform above the water. Semi-submersible rigs float on the surface and use ballast tanks to partially submerge for stability, and these operate in deep water, often past 10,000 feet. Then you have drill ships, which are exactly what they sound like, ships with drilling equipment built into the hull that operate in the deepest water. Deepwater and drill ship operations always pay more because the work is more complex and you are further from shore. Before we get into the positions, you need to understand how the schedule works, because it affects everything. Offshore rigs run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they never stop. You work 12-hour shifts, either days or nights, and you stay on that rig for your entire rotation. The most common schedule is 14 days on, 14 days off. Some operations run 21 and 21, and deepwater rigs often do 28 and 28. During your hitch, you eat for free, you sleep for free, you have a gym, a recreation room, and Wi-Fi. The galley serves 4 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a midnight meal for the night crew. Steak nights and crab legs are normal on major deepwater rigs, not special occasions. Fair warning though, a lot of first-timers put on what the industry calls the Offshore 20, which is 20 pounds of extra weight from eating 4,000 calorie days and not using the gym enough. Now you effectively work about half the calendar year. The rest of the time, you are home. That means every dollar you earn offshore stretches further because your housing and food costs disappear during your hitch. Let me walk you through every position on the rig, starting from the bottom. The galley hand. The galley hand is the absolute entry point. You are washing dishes, prepping food, cleaning the kitchen and dining areas, and doing whatever the cook tells you to do. The requirements here are minimal: a high school diploma or a GED, basic food handling knowledge, and physical stamina. A food safety certification like ServSafe helps, but is not always required. Getting offshore also means holding a BOSIET certificate and a TWIC card, which I will break down later. Pay for a galley hand starts around $17 to $22 an hour for entry level, which works out to roughly $35,000 to $46,000 a year. Experienced galley hands and kitchen utility workers average about $49,000 a year, and top earners pull in around $62,000 to $66,000. The catering crew on a rig is typically 5 to 6 people, and if you stick with it and move up to offshore cook or camp boss, your pay jumps to $40,000 to $60,000 or higher, depending on the operation. The Roustabout. The Roustabout is the standard entry point for anyone who wants to work on the operations side of the rig. This is general maintenance, moving equipment, deck support, cleaning, and assisting skilled crew members across every department on the platform. You need 0 prior offshore experience. Physical fitness, a willingness to learn, and a safety-first attitude are the primary requirements. Starting pay for an offshore roustabout runs $50,000 to $70,000 a year. and deepwater operations push that up to $68,000 to $85,000. Remember, your food and housing are covered during your hitch, so almost every cent of that goes straight into your pocket or your bank account. Most roustabouts who show up on time, keep their mouths shut, work hard, and stay safe will move up to Roughneck within 1 to 2 years. The guys who do not make it are usually the ones who complain too much, cannot handle the isolation, or create drama in tight living quarters. You are sharing space with the same crew for weeks at a time, so attitude matters as much as work ethic. This is where your career starts if you are serious about climbing the ladder. The Roughneck. Roughnecks work directly on the drill floor. You are handling pipe, operating heavy equipment, and supporting drilling operations under the direction of the driller. This is physically intense work, and it builds the foundational drilling knowledge you need for everything above it. You typically need 1 to 2 years of Roustabout experience, a valid BOSIET, a TWIC card, and ideally, your SafeGulf certification. Offshore roughnecks earn $60,000 to $75,000 on the low end, and deepwater roughnecks clear $90,000 to $115,000 after about 6 months of floor time. Safety bonuses, completion bonuses, and overtime can add another $4,000 to $10,000 on top of that annually. The Motorman. The Motorman maintains engines, motors, pumps, and the mechanical equipment that keeps the rig running. You need mechanical aptitude and knowledge of diesel engines. This position sits between Roughneck and Derrickhand in the drilling crew hierarchy, and it is a common lateral move for guys who are better with wrenches than pipe. Pay averages about $48,000 to $65,000 a year, with higher rates on deepwater operations. The Derrickhand. The Derrickhand works up in the derrick structure, managing the drilling fluid systems, which the industry calls mud, and guiding pipe during tripping operations. Comfort working at height is non-negotiable, along with solid mechanical aptitude and a detailed understanding of how drilling fluid behaves. Most Derrickhands hold well control certification through IWCF or IADC. Pay ranges from $70,000 to $90,000 on a standard offshore rig, and deepwater Derrickhands pull $115,000 to $140,000 managing mud systems and working the monkey board. This is where the money starts to get serious. The assistant driller. The assistant driller works directly alongside the driller and steps in whenever the driller is unavailable. This is the training ground for becoming a full driller, and you are learning every system on that drill floor. Pay sits between $60,000 and $85,000 a year, depending on the rig and the region. The driller. The driller controls all drilling equipment from the driller's console, monitors and manages well bore pressure and weight on bit, and is the direct supervisor for derrickmen, roughnecks, and pumpmen. This is the position that separates workers from leaders on a rig. You need years of experience, well control certification, and real leadership ability because lives depend on your decisions. Standard offshore drillers earn $90,000 to $110,000 a year. Deepwater drillers command $175,000 to $220,000. That is serious money for a position that requires zero college education, just years of hard-earned experience and the certifications to back it up. The pipeline from roustabout to driller typically takes 5 to 8 years of consistent performance. Some guys do it faster if they pick up skills quickly and never miss a hitch. Some take longer because they bounce around between contractors or take time off. The point is that the path exists and it is clearly defined. Every driller on every rig in the world started somewhere below that chair. And speaking of consistency, if you are getting value from this breakdown, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We put out content like this regularly, and subscribing makes sure you do not miss the next one. Now let me keep going because we are getting into the big money. The Toolpusher. The Toolpusher, also called the drilling supervisor, is the senior manager at the rig site. This person oversees all drilling operations, manages the entire drilling crew, handles safety compliance, and reports daily progress against the project plan. The Toolpusher answers to the company man and the rig manager. You need extensive drilling experience across multiple positions, strong leadership skills, and the ability to make fast decisions under pressure. Standard pay runs $110,000 to $140,000 a year, but experienced Toolpushers on deepwater operations earn $200,000 to $300,000 or more. The 2026 industry data shows a real shortage of experienced Toolpushers because so many veterans are retiring right now, which means qualified candidates have serious leverage in salary negotiations. Specialized positions. Not every job on a rig follows the drilling crew ladder. There are specialized roles that pay well and offer a different path onto the platform. Crane operator. You start as a deck crew member or rigger, earn your BOSIET, then work toward OPIDO or API-RP 2D competency certification and eventually NCCCO certification. Day rates for crane operators range from $320 to $880 depending on experience level, which translates to roughly $80,000 to $130,000 a year on a standard rotation. Rig electrician. You need an electrical apprenticeship or technical training program, OSHA safety certification, and your offshore safety certs. Offshore rig electricians earn $70,000 to $120,000 a year. Having your trade license before you apply puts you ahead of most candidates. Rig mechanic maintains pumps, compressors, rotating equipment, and the mechanical systems that keep the rig operational. Average hourly rate sits around $29 an hour, with annual earnings between $60,000 and $100,000 depending on the rig and the region. Welder, certified welders who maintain and build structural components on rigs, pipelines, and offshore installations average around $46 an hour, which works out to roughly $97,000 a year. Specialized certifications in underwater welding or pipeline welding push that number higher. Offshore medic provides primary medical care and emergency response for the entire crew. You need EMT, paramedic, or nursing certification, plus an OPITO offshore medic certificate. Average salary sits around $108,000 a year, according to Glassdoor data, with top earners pulling $145,000 to $186,000. You are the only medical professional on that rig, so the responsibility is real. Safety officer / HSE drives safety culture, conducts audits, manages incident investigations, and ensures regulatory compliance across the installation. Most positions require a NEBOSH International Diploma or NEBOSH Oil and Gas Certificate combined with offshore operational understanding. Pay ranges from $70,000 to $120,000 and up. The company man. The company man, also called the operator representative, is the person on the rig who represents the oil company funding the entire operation. This person sits between the operating company and the drilling contractor, making decisions about well design, operational changes, and budget in real time. You need deep technical knowledge, years of field experience, and the ability to manage relationships between multiple organizations simultaneously. Pay runs $130,000 to $190,000 a year, and experienced company men on high-profile deepwater programs earn north of $300,000 annually. The Offshore Installation Manager. The Offshore Installation Manager, or OIM, sits at the very top. This is the most senior person on the entire installation. The OIM holds overall responsibility for rig operations, personnel safety, emergency response, environmental compliance, and budget management. In the UK and many global operations, the OIM carries legal and regulatory accountability under the OPITOMEMIR framework, which means this person can be held personally responsible if something goes wrong. Getting here takes a minimum of 15 years of oil and gas industry experience, with at least 10 of those in senior operational roles. Most OIMs hold a bachelor's degree in engineering or a related field, though the degree matters less than the decades of hands-on experience. Annual salary runs $150,000 to $250,000. And experienced OIMs on deepwater or high-complexity rigs regularly earn above $200,000. This role exists at the intersection of operations, safety, law, and leadership. And the industry does not hand it to anyone who has not earned it across every level below. How to actually get hired. Now that you know what every position pays, here is exactly what you need to do to get your foot on a rig. Step 1. Get your TWIC card. The Transportation Worker Identification Credential is issued by the TSA and costs $124. It requires a background check, fingerprinting, and a security threat assessment. You must be a U.S. citizen or lawful permanent resident. Processing takes several weeks and sometimes up to 2 months, so start this first. Do not wait. Step 2. Complete BOSIET training. The basic offshore safety induction and emergency training is mandatory for every single person who boards an offshore installation, from the newest galley hand to the most senior OIM. The course runs 3 days, costs $900 to $1,800 depending on the training center, and covers emergency response, firefighting, first aid, and helicopter underwater escape training. The certificate lasts 4 years and gets renewed through a shorter course called FOET. Step 3. Get your SafeGulf or Safe Land USA orientation. This is a 1-day, 9-hour course that most Gulf of Mexico operators require before you step foot on their rig. It covers the basic safety protocols and work standards for the offshore environment. Step 4. Apply. Target the major operators like Shell, Chevron, and BP. Target the drilling contractors and service companies. Use industry staffing platforms that connect workers with energy companies. Build your resume around mechanical skills, safety awareness, physical fitness, and any heavy equipment or manual labor experience you have. Military veterans transition particularly well into offshore work because of their training in firefighting, confined space operations, rigging, and helicopter familiarity. One thing most people do not realize is that where you work matters almost as much as what you do. The Gulf of Mexico, the North Sea, and the Middle East consistently pay at the top end of every salary range I mentioned. Land rigs in slower basins pay less. If you are choosing between an onshore roughneck job and an offshore roughneck job, the offshore position typically pays 15 to 40% more for the same work, and that premium exists because you cannot leave. You are living on that platform, eating on that platform, and sleeping on that platform for your entire rotation. The trade-off is real, but so is the paycheck. You also need to know about the bonus structure. Crews that go 90 consecutive days without a lost time incident often receive quarterly safety bonuses of $500 to $2,000 per person. On a good year with a solid crew, that adds $4,000 to $8,000 on top of your base salary. Drilling contractors also regularly pay completion bonuses of 5 to 10% of your annual day rate when you finish a drilling campaign without walkouts or major incidents. You do not need a college degree for entry-level work. You need a clean background, physical fitness, the right certifications, and the willingness to show up and outwork everyone around you. The industry rewards performance. The pipeline from Galley hand or Roustabout all the way to driller runs 5 to 8 years. From there to Toolpusher and beyond depends entirely on how badly you want it and whether you can lead people safely through high-pressure situations every single day. Offshore is not for everyone. You will be away from your family for weeks at a time. You will work in harsh conditions. You will be physically and mentally tested. But if you are looking for a career that pays 6 figures without a college degree, gives you half the year off, and puts real money in your pocket starting from day one, this is one of the best paths available in the trades. The industry is not shrinking. It is not going away. Global energy demand continues to grow, and offshore production remains a massive part of how the world keeps the lights on. The people telling you oil is dead are not the people signing the paychecks. Right now, there are rigs in the Gulf of Mexico, the North Sea, West Africa, Southeast Asia, and the Middle East that need workers at every level. The door is open if you are willing to walk through it. That is the complete breakdown, every position, every pay grade, and every step you need to take to get started. If this helped you, share it with someone who needs to hear it.